So in the never-ending quest to separate yourself from funds, we're always tone hunting, we're always wanting to try new things. And ever since I did the 57 Stratocaster restoration, I've been really fascinated by the simplicity of what was available back then. You know, a Tweed Champ paired with a Fender Stratocaster or a Fender Telecaster from 1957 is back then was considered a starter kit for a young musician. Maybe it'd be a hobbyist or somebody who wanted to take lessons. And it was kind of the student era regarding the amps. It wasn't a real powerful amp, and a lot of those amps weren't, just because of the design. They were basically derivatives from ham and TV tube radios and stuff like that. So Leo Fender and countless others came up with this design to make these amps accessible with their instruments they were building. Get into the Fender Tweeds, the prices are astronomical. As we all know from that Nerdville video, Joe Bonamassa is an avid collector, and the mint stuff is just outrageous. But there are some diamonds in the rough, some great things to look out for. Great amps that can facilitate your need for Tweed without breaking the bank. So this right here is a 1960 Gibson GA-20 Crest. This is a non-tremolo model. It just has your two volumes, one for the microphone input, one for the instrument input, and it has a tone shaping knob, which basically is, if you thought about a tone knob on a guitar, it basically bleeds in the treble, rolls off on the highs, you know. And simplistic design, but when looking at the circuit, it's quite similar to what the Tweed Deluxe is. And if you look for a 57 or 1959 or 1960 Tweed Deluxe, you're somewhere up in the 3,000, 3,500, even as far as 5,500 for a really clean example. This one can be bought for $1,000. It's got a little more grit, it's got a little more punch, it's got a little more power, and a little more headroom, if you ask me. I have played the Tweed Deluxes. Yes, I don't have one here as an example, but I do have friends that own them, and I've played through them, and this is a really great alternative. These amps would be 12 to 14 watts, and a great Jensen 12-inch speaker back there, much like Fender's design. It had the same Fender tube layout. I think the V1 tube was a variant a little bit. It changed. And I know that a lot of guys take these GAs and kind of revert them to Fender specs. And, you know, they basically have a Tweed Deluxe in a Gibson house. A little bit different. The cab design is a little different. We do have a slanted baffle here. This is just a really great clean piece. As far as, you know, cleanliness, there's some dirt on the Tweed, and you have to really be careful how you're going to clean that up. But this Gibson, you know, handle here is in just incredible shape. And when I got this, I opened it up. The only thing really done to it was a 3-prong power cord, which basically grounds the amp in a safe way. You may hear, if you're a Fender guy, you may hear people talk about the death cap and a 3-prong conversion. That basically alleviates all those worries of going to turn your amp on one day and your ears blowing off your head. This amp also had all of the original tubes from 1960. They were all dated the 17th week of 1960, which was a really, really cool aspect. And everything is fully functional. It's got some cranky noises here and there, some static, some hissing and stuff like that. So what I did to preserve this is I ordered a new tube kit. Basically replace the 5Y3, replace the 6V6, and replace the preamp tubes. This will allow me to take these original tubes that came with this amp out if they are faulty and put them aside in a safe place, because every single tube is a matching date code. They all have the Gibson logo on them, and I think that's really amazing. I don't understand how, for an amp that was built in 1960, all of that stuff could make it this far. And those are some of the things that really turn me on to projects like this, like seeing I was just speaking with this the other day, like my 59 Strat made it all this way, and it's a unique sounding guitar, you know. So some of those things are really inspiring when something stands the test of time like that. Like I said too, for the money, you can't really beat these. They are valuable. They are iconic in a way, and they hold their own place. And in some ways, they kind of, you know, Fender is going to be synonymous with the Tweed amps, but in some ways, these kind of blow them out of the water a little bit. There's a little more snarl, you know. There's a little more snap to them, a little more punch, and a little more bite. This is just a really, really cool amp. Because the amp is in an original condition, it's really hard to modify this. So one thing that was suggested to me, and I've also read up on this circuit, the GA-20 circuit, the V1 tube is a 12AX7. Some people have suggested trying a 5751 or a 12AY7. That will bring the overall gain down of that circuit. It'll bring it down a little bit. Maybe clean it up some. I noticed that this amp does work really, really well with Stratocasters, Telecasters, and humbuckers. A little more sizzle and a little more stinging clarity with the humbuckers, but with the Strats, it just sounds like a little baby Marshall. I'll be doing more in-depth videos with this. I just thought it was really cool. The guitar used in the video is something I'm going to be talking about really soon. I'm blown away. It's probably one of the coolest guitars I've ever played, and I will be speaking about that more. Yeah, this 1960 Gibson GA-20 Crest is just really, really cool, and it's a great, great affordable alternative to your Fender Tweeds. They're not exactly alike, but they are really, really close. And with some modifications, maybe you can make it a Fender Tweed itself. In the forthcoming weeks, I'm hoping to visit with a well-known amp builder out in Jersey, and we're going to go through this thing, and maybe I can take you guys along, and we'll check out the amp and see what it needs, bring it a clean bill of health, and see what can be done minimally to get this thing to a more maybe Fender spec. And if it's too much, I won't go into it. But if it's maybe a cap that's worn, and you know, hey, look, this cap's already worn, if we change the value, it would be more along the lines of that, then maybe that's something I'll be interested in doing. So enjoy the tones, everybody be happy, enjoy the week, be safe, and yeah, man, if you're looking for a Tweed, don't sleep on these old Gibsons. We'll talk soon, guys.